Welcome to the range. Here are the hosts, Brandon Brown, and here, chilling with us on the panel tonight, Steve Omari, the Honorable Chris Gallen,
Pastor Manning,
Code Breaking Eye Candy, Rachel Lindley, Cleveland Spears,
I guess I'm back. Sucks to be all of you listening.
and J.B. Brown.
Damn, that's a lot of names for her.
Starting it off.
Oh,
Starting it off.
Wait, pink on?
Chris.
all right, we done talked a lot about the men's Final Four. Let's talk about the women's Final Four. You got UConn, who crushed Florida State girls. Florida State. Florida State. Anyway, you have Baylor, who beat Duke. So UConn and Baylor will be playing in that Final Four game. And then you have Stanford, who pulled out a close game against Xavier, which they should have lost. And you also have Oklahoma, who killed Kentucky by 20. That's half of what UConn beat Florida State by, which was 40. But either way it goes, the big matchup, of course, will be Baylor and Griner against UConn, and can they pull off the upset? I wouldn't necessarily call Baylor a Cinderella, but in this case, going against that UConn streak, it is a Cinderella. And as far as Stanford going against Oklahoma, which I was hoping my team, Nebraska, got picked to go, they didn't make it. But as far as Stanford and Oklahoma, I believe that Stanford will win that game, and I'm calling the upset on Baylor, even though more than likely I doubt it will happen. I just like upsets. But more than likely the final championship game will be UConn versus Stanford in a rematch, which Stanford gave UConn its closest game this season. So hopefully this can cause for a much better game, especially with the championship on the line. What do y'all think?
yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is about this whole UConn Baylor matchup. I have to agree that's going to be the biggest game, even of this entire Final Four. Whether it's the championship game or even the Final Four game, it is that way mainly because it is Brittany Griner, one of the dominant postmen in women's basketball, or the dominant woman in women's basketball. Yeah, she does have a deep voice for a lady. One thing I thought was Juwan Man. But the thing is, there's only one way to beat Baylor. There's only one way to really beat Baylor right now, and that has to be just take Brittany Griner out of the middle. Because, you got to think, none of these teams have done it before, but if she stays in the middle, she get those 9, 10 blocks a game. Remember, she already has 35 for the tournament. So, if I'm UConn, I'm, pulling my center out for a lot of more ball screens and stuff, and letting my guards drive while she's not down there. That, or hope to capitalize shooting 3-pointers, because there's no way you're going to get into the paint and get past her. So if I'm UConn, if you want to keep that streak alive, I'd keep the ball away from Brittany Griner the whole game. Don't try to attack her, because she's already called people out on her Sunday conversation. Those who, droughted the hole 5, 6 times. She blocks every time. Yeah. I'm pretty sure she don't want to see that. Nobody wants to see that happen, especially against UConn and this huge streak that's going on. So I will go with UConn this one because I think it's just going to happen.
All right. Well, I'm going to go with UConn also beating Baylor, but I think Baylor may give them a closer game than what people may think. But I do have one prediction as far as Brittany, as far as Griner. I think she might get at least one dunk in this game, and she has a chance. She might have her 6, 7 blocks, but if they get her in the foul trouble, then that's pretty much all she wrote. Because Tina Charles, she's pretty much a load down low. And if Tina Charles is not on the game, they also have Maya Moore, which is probably the best player in women's college basketball right now. So UConn over Baylor, closer than what people think. And Oklahoma, not too many people expected them to get this far without Courtney Parrish anyway. So I'll still go with Stanford, but that game might be closer than what people think also.
I think against the Baylor versus UConn game that UConn will come out up top, even though I would want Baylor to win, but as a sports analyst, you can't really pick favorites, so.
Baylor sucks.
Man.
And then Oklahoma with Stanford. Stanford kills them.
Wow.
Wow. Okay.
I like Oklahoma anything.
That's a sweet ass answer.
And Rachel will be objective.
Oh, I thought he pointed too, but I'm gonna be different and go Oklahoma and Baylor. You know what I'm saying? I really don't watch women's basketball like that, and you know what I'm saying, I'm really not knowledgeable as these gentlemen. But you know what I'm saying, I like to see the underdog come on top, and that's what's up, baby. Baylor, hold it down for Texas.
Well, does anybody here think that UConn will lose by less than, will win by less than 10 points? That's what the streak has been. All their wins have been double digits.
I mean, Stanford, they've only beat them by 12, and Stanford could give them a closer game, but you never know what Baylor can bring come Saturday night, because you know a lot of people not giving them that much of a shot, so it could be a lot closer. But I could see it happening if they were to play Stanford, maybe.
Yeah, I think, you know, even in this tournament, I mean, although we all know that UConn been blowing teams out by 30, 50, 40, 50 points, you know, it happens. It's just, you know, how will they compete against a team that, you know, has dominant, presence down low? And that's one thing, too, that UConn really hasn't ran into, is a player like Brittany Griner, which is kind of the common thread of every women's college basketball team. Nobody's ran into Brittany Griner all year. Only the Big 12 really knows about her, especially the sucker punch, But, I mean, that was just a one-time mistake. You got to forgive her for that. Everybody gets heated. I mean, I've even sucker punched somebody when I was in high school, but, that didn't, nothing ever happened to me because I wasn't a high-profile player. But it's okay because you can look past that. Ever since then, she has been, still dominant. She doesn't let things get to her anymore. But I'd like to see how the ladies of UConn would handle her, especially if she can get in foul trouble. Especially if they get real aggressive, get her in foul trouble. I like their chance of winning by double digits, maybe even 20 points. But the thing is, she gets the ball. She's developed an offensive game in the past 10 games. She's developing offense. She's not all defense. She still does have a down low presence on the offensive side. She can, bring in all the rebounds. Of course, that happens when you're 6'8". So, I mean, I don't see why not. This team, Baylor's good enough to do it. Is to make that streak at least, I think UConn will win, but I think it'll be less than 10 points.
I believe it's a close game. I think as long as Griner doesn't get a little antsy in the very beginning of the game and don't get herself in foul trouble, it'll be a close game. Otherwise, it will be a blowout. And we'll be right back here with more on the range.